Welcome, y'all. This is another E-tier challenge run where I try to beat Pokémon LeafGreen using the stinkiest, annoying to catch, lowest stats, bad Pokémon. Plus Porygon. You know the premise by now if you've watched the channel before. The lads at Smogon put together a community tier list of the least efficient Pokémon to use for a run of Pokémon Fire Red or Leaf Green. Least efficient often means a Pokémon just has terrible stats, but that's not the only parameter. It can also mean the species is caught really late in the game after the point they would have been helpful. Or perhaps it has a very low encounter rate making it hard to catch, or maybe its moveset is empty unless you throw your best TMs at it. The Smogon tier lists are context heavy, ranking a Pokémon not for absolute strength, but for its strength within the context of the game. So, what's it like to make the game intentionally inefficient by playing with a team built from the very bottom of that tier list? Now, there is a fair bit of yapping that I typically do about the premise and the pool of Pokemon that I'm allowed to use, but if you'd rather skip straight ahead to the start of the actual run, timestamps are marked. Otherwise, let's get into it. Let's take a look at who's in the E tier. Who are we allowed to play with on this run? Well, Smogon only lists 5 E-tier Pokemon for Fire Red and Leaf Green. Those are Chansey, Ditto, Lickitung, Onix, and Porygon. Now, aside from the fact there's not enough here to build a full team, none of these Pokemon are available until after Misty, or really after Lieutenant Surge if we're not intentionally skipping him. So it's clear we're going to have to pull in the second lowest tier, the D tier, as well, just to get the conversation going. But I will promise to use at least one of these absolute bottom tier Pokemon for the cred. Adding that D tier does add quite a few species to our pool. In rough order that they appear in the game, that adds Pidgey, Weedle, Paris, Jigglypuff, Graveler, Zubat, Sandshrew, Ekans, Diglett, Machoke, Marowak, Tauros, Dratini, Rhyhorn, Kangaskhan, Tangela, Koffing, Grimer, Kabuto, Ammonite, Aerodactyl, Ponyta, Magmar, and Moltres. Of course, I'm going to make a couple of evictions because despite the tier list being about efficiency, I do want to make limited power level and aspects of the run. I have no personal problem rushing to Cinnabar Island for Aerodactyl and grinding it up from level 5, but it is so strong that it could dominate the run if I allow that. So let's kick out Aerodactyl, Moltres, and I'm also going to say Kangaskhan and Tauros. It feels like those two are only here because of how annoying it is to catch them in the Safari Zone. Those are the only changes I feel the need to make. In other runs, I've pulled aside the Velvet Rope and waved in a Pokemon or two from the next tier up, just so that I could have Fly or Surf on the team, but we do have options for those in the pool already, so I am HOTTOGO. There are some other rules I want to impose, though, to keep the difficulty higher. No item use allowed in battle, held items are okay. I'll play on set mode, disabling the free switch out after knocking out each opponent, and I'm setting a level cap for the team commensurate with the next gym leader's ace Pokemon. That covers the premise. Let's see what team we can cobble together as we start our run. I think that was a pretty fast intro. I've earned this. Hello, my name is Mothy, and I'm happy to have you here. If you enjoy the video, I'd be very grateful for your subscription and your interactions on the video. Thanks for waiting for me, by the way. I know it's been a while between uploads, but I got a chance to visit my family for a whole week, and then I was busy kicking off my second channel, which I'll link below. That's a brand new channel, and it's where I'm going to upload all of my non-Pokemon content from here on out if you want to hear me cover horror games. Thanks, y'all. Now, let's play Pokémon Leaf Green with a bad team. While our starter Pokemon is, of course, not permitted to use in battle, we'll keep it around for HMs, and our choice of starter does matter. The Pokemon we choose determines our rival's ace Pokemon. While I think Charizard is the easiest to counter long-term, importantly also removing the tough Arcanine from his team, we need the most help at the start of the run. For that reason, I picked Squirtle to put our rival, who's named Balance, on Bulbasaur, who's easier to punish in the early game thanks to what we're allowed to catch. Well, not now. I actually lost the tutorial fight for maybe the second time in my life. These E-tier runs are always the hardest at the very start due to how few Pokemon they make available before the first gym. In Crystal version, I was allowed to catch an Ice Hidden Power type unknown to combat Faulkner, and Sapphire let me use a Bubbling Surskit against Roxanne, but both of those took a great deal of planning to find the strategy and then were tough grindy catches on top. Leaf Green version has no options whatsoever to score super effective attacks against Brock. We can't even catch a Pokemon who doesn't take super effective damage from Onix's Rock Tomb. Our 2 legal Pokemon to catch for the Brock fight are Pidgey and Weedle, so let's assume we're catching both. What would that fight even look like if we raised both of them to the level cap of 14? Well, Pidgey's limited to Quick Attack on offense, its only utility move being Sand Attack, and Pidgey's defense is quite low. This thing wouldn't survive 2 attacks. Weedle, or Beedrill, has the same low defense stat, but speed high enough to rival Onyx's. On offense, it's Fury Attack or Poison Sting, so maybe there's something we can pull off with Poison? But let's begin with that Pidgey. They're super common on Route 1, so I took the chance to shop for a good nature. I'm not going to insist on a perfect Adamant nature, but one that decreases special attack for any other more useful stat would be great. Well, I did end up with an Adamant Pidgey. Meet Gustav, our first party member. By the way, thank you so much to my patrons for helping me name the team. If you want to get in on helping me name future Pokemon teams, you know where to go. Now, Gustav joined at level 2, and he was terrible in combat, so I had to rely on swap training him for a level until he can sometimes win his own battles. From level 3 onward, Gustav was able to handle his own fights, and HM's the Squirtle never saw combat again. He picked up Sand Attack at level 5, which reduces opponent accuracy. I've seen other Pokemon challenge runners try to avoid abusing Sand Attack because bottoming out an opponent's accuracy can feel a bit cheesy. But with our dearth of options, I make no such claims. Sand Attack is on the menu, boys. There's a rival fight out on Route 22 that would be nice to challenge, but I just don't stand a chance with the one Pidgey, so let's go add that Weedle to the team. Up in Viridian Forest, I begin hunting. Okay, I'm not passing up free wild Metapod XP though. Eventually, I run into a female Weedle and get to catching. Weedle's nature does matter to me. Speed plus is important to me, while not being one that decreases her attack. Beedrill's attack is low enough already. Meet Helena, with special attack cashed in for speed. Perfect. It's a shame her Shield Dust ability, which negates effects besides damage on incoming attacks, gets lost when she evolves. At level 3, it's rough getting her first levels, so I swap train her against the bug catchers with help from Gustav. That gets much easier when at level 9, Gustav picks up the, I guess, eponymous Gust. And sadly, this is probably the local maximum for Gustav's power level. There are just so few flying weak foes after the early game, but Gust is a huge pickup at the moment. I got Helena to level 7 without much fuss to evolve into Kakuna and pick up Harden for increasing defense, which turns out does carry the run. Then, with the few bug catchers defeated and no other trainers until the Pewter City Gym, I did a bit of grinding for my small team in Viridian Forest. Reaching level 10 was critical for Helena to evolve into Beedrill and learn Fury Attack. This multi-hit attack actually has utility against Brock. His rock Pokemon take almost no damage from my attacks, but the minimum damage a hit can do is 1. Fury Attack hits multiple times, so it might sneak in 2 to 5 damage where a tackle would only do 1. With Helena at a fresh level 10 and Gustav 11, I decided to go take on that Route 22 rival fight that I had deferred. I lead with Gustav against Balance's level 9 Pidgey, winning in 3 Gusts, and kept him in for a Bulbasaur, where Gust is super effective. Turns out we didn't need Helena to win this after all. The only other fight before Brock is that one subordinate trainer in his gym who talks about the light years. Poison Sting from Helena eventually poisons his Geodude, who luckily has no rock-type attacks of his own, and Fury Attack slowly helps close. I fear we'll have to do this against 2 opponents when fighting Brock, and one of them can hit back quite strongly. It's clear we're just not taking down Brock below level cap. Even at cap, things look tenuous. So expecting the worst, I approached Brock with my duo at level 14 to see if there's any chance, or whether I'll need to bend the rules and temporarily borrow a C-tier Pokemon just to keep the run going. I lead with Helena against his Geodude and took way too many attacks to inflict poison. Usually it's more generous than this. Once poison landed, I swapped to Gustav to Sand Attack Geodude's accuracy down to minimum while it lost to poison. Unfortunately, Gustav had taken enough tackles from Geodude that a single Rock Tomb from Onix was lethal, and Helena was not able to apply poison again in time to win. So, I grinded a little bit more. This is something Nuzlockers will do. I raised both Pokemon's levels to 14.9, technically still within the level cap because they are level 14, but they're poised to level up during the fight with Brock, so they'll be level 15 by the time Onix comes out and gain some extra stat points. With that in place, I approached Brock again, this time with a shuffled strategy too. Instead of leading with Helena for the poison, I led with Gustav to bottom out Geodude's accuracy first, while he was busy defense curling uselessly. Once Geodude's accuracy was minimized, I sent in Helena, who landed poison after just 1 poison sting, safe thanks to Geodude missing constantly, and then got to hardening 6 times to max out her defense. Once the setup was complete, I switched to Fury Attacks to nudge my poison over the finish line, and both Pokemon reached level 15 off that shared experience. For Helena, that meant learning Focus Energy mid-fight. Now, Onix's accuracy hasn't been reduced, but my super buffed defense limited his Rock Tomb to only 7 damage. And it helps that his first one missed. I got poison to stick after 2 stings, and this time I used focus energy before starting the Fury attacks, translating into an extra point or 2 of damage every time I used the move. He tried binding me for minimal damage and tackling for 2 apiece, but with max hardens, Helena was just too sturdy to lose and finally took Onyx to the grave, beating Brock and increasing my level cap to 21. This sucked. It took cheese and possibly hinged on those extra stats and focus energy from hitting level 15 mid-combat, but I was able to defeat Brock with 2 rock-weak foes and only ineffective attacks. These Pokemon are certainly what it means to be playing with an inefficient team. We've gotta fix that with some more Pokemon, y'all. Soon. Route 3, on the way toward Mount Moon, got some heavy Gustav play against grass and bugs, so I let Helena fight the other foes like Rattatas and poison types. Our third Pokemon legal for the run is catchable here. Jigglypuff lives in the Route 3 grass. Wigglytuff has pretty sad stats, but excellent coverage through TMs. I would be happy to catch one, but we actually have 2 other catches to make soon who should be a little more helpful for our team comp. I have to decline Jigglypuff, mostly because of pacing. So inside Mount Moon, I picked up TM09 Bullet Seed, which has very few Pokemon that it's worth using on. You could argue that there's exactly one, and we're gonna catch it. It's not Geodude or Zubat, though, who are both eligible for the team. First, Gustav did ding level 18 against the trainer to evolve into Pidgeotto for a stat boost. Okay, down on basement 1 floor, it's actually 100% odds to encounter Paris, so we can be greedy with the nature. I'm not specific on this one, though. All I want to avoid is a speed plus nature because its speed is so low to begin with. Welcome to our third teammate, Humbug, who gets that Bullet Seed TM because she doesn't otherwise learn an on-type grass move. She joins at level 10, so she's already able to make it through certain trainer matchups like Sandshrews and Geodudes. She can already solo hikers, Bullet Seed only needing 2 of its 2 to 5 hits, so I don't even need to get lucky with it. And there's also a TM46 Thief down here, which ends up pretty important for the run because it can steal held items from the opponent. See if you can figure out which one we're gonna want later. Maybe this is obvious to you, but I need more potions, antidotes, and paralyze heals on these weak team runs than on a normal one. Because I'm knocking out opponents less efficiently, we just take more attacks. Normally, I try to conserve cash, but it's been more helpful than usual to splurge on medicine for training these weak Pokemon. I had to retrain my brain. Alright, the Super Nerd Fossil boss is a little tough with his poison Pokemon. I have to let Gustav hoard the XP since he can defeat them pretty safely. By the way, I'm not playing with hardcore rules where I have to let a Pokemon go if it faints ever, but I am trying my absolute best to avoid Pokemon fainting. Consider it practice. I grab a Helix Fossil after the fight, and then I'm out on Route 4. Nobody on the team can take advantage of the Mega Kick Tutor here, but there is another catch for us to make. In Fire Red, we could get Ekans here, which I struggled to see how I could make good, but in Leaf Green, it is Sandshrew, chosen for type defense in the coming Lieutenant Surge fight. Honestly, Humbug might have been enough to counter Surge because she resists electric, but I also like Sand Slash for its very high attack and defense. Playing in set mode, you often need to take hits as you switch around Pokemon, and it's helpful to have a safe swap in, as long as it's a physical attack. Welcome Tower to the team. Now, Tower needs a bunch of levels to catch my other Pokemon, but Humbug also trails my main 2, and I learned from my Rocky Platinum version start that I shouldn't try raising multiple charity cases at once. Let's get Humbug to party level first before worrying about Tower. To that end, my next stop was Misty's gym to sweep her subordinate trainers and bring Humbug close to level 16. Then, in order to access more trainers, I've got to win a rival fight. I'm expecting this to be one of my toughest fights all game. Balance has a level 17 Pidgeotto, 15 Rattata, and an 18 Bulbasaur who'd be really tough to beat right now if it was a Charmander, though maybe Bullet Seed could do something if it was a Squirtle. Balance's Pidgeotto almost takes out Gustav because I couldn't resist a cheeky swap train for Tower, but Humbug handles his Rat, Helena easily handles Bulbasaur, and I'm able to put Tower back in to battle his Abra since this thing has no attacks. Just gotta wake up first. Phew. After that difficulty spike, the Nugget Bridge and Route 25 trainers are much easier, and I'm able to ease Tower into rotation with some extra help against Cocoon opponents. In fact, I need Tower to be pulling her weight because Gustav and Helena are actually pushing the level cap. After clearing Nugget Bridge, but before wiping out the Route 25 trainers, I have another catch to make in the grass. Here, on Route 25, Metapods can be caught at specifically level 9, such that a single rare candy puts them at level 10 to evolve into Butterfree. Now, Butterfree is not allowed for use on the team, but its Compound Eyes ability, if it's the first Pokemon in your party, dramatically increases the odds that wild Pokemon encountered will hold their optional held item. At least I thought that's how it works. You can save your comment. Turns out that behavior begins in Emerald version. It's not a blanket Generation 3 thing. But I did not realize my error yet, so I did waste some time here looking for that 4% Metapod encounter. It is especially important to correctly manipulate Camper Flint out of the way to grab that item behind him after his fight when you're raising either a Pidgey or a Spearow. Those birds have to go many levels in the teens and 20s without learning a good attack move, but the Secret Power TM here really patches up either of them as a same type normal move. Then we save Bill, collect his SS Ann ticket, and defeat the Team Rocket Thief back in Cerulean City. Tower dinging 17 to pick up Poison Sting, which won't get any use because we also score the Dig TM. Put that straight on Tower. Then, with everything set to go take on Misty, I don't go take on Misty. Really, the goal is just to have Humbug near the level cap before we attempt. I was possessed to go catch a few Meowths on Route 5 now that the way is unblocked for my typical item hoarding off their pickup ability. You mostly just get berries from pickup in Fire Red and LeafGreen. I ended up with a pair of Hidden Power TMs by the time that I boxed both Meowths later, but otherwise, yeah, just a few handfuls of berries. Which do help, I mean, especially when disallowing items in battle, that free Confusion or Paralysis cure from a held berry can make a difference. I continued south through the underground tunnel to Route 6 because I found it's fun on these level-capped runs to play the forward routes early. My goal is to make each boss fight as easy as possible by approaching the level cap, but playing this way also makes the route trainers harder because I'm fighting those earlier than intended. I collect the VS Seeker once in Vermilion because I had aspirations about farming rich opponents for gold. You'll see why later. But I found just by defeating every route trainer and 0 wild battles, my team was pushing cap the entire game, so there was no breathing room to fight rematches with this. Just that one beginning of game grind to make my Pidgey and Beedrill viable against Brock really gave my team a head start that I felt for most of the game. Helena reaches level 20 in a fight to learn Twin Needle, a nice Psychic-type counter which can also apply Poison. This is a good move. Tower with Dig was incredible on Route 11 against all the Poison and Electric opponents, and Humbug got enough action to ding level 20. That will have to be enough. Let's hike back and finally challenge the Water-type leader, Misty. From the planning stages of this run, Paris was always my plan against Misty. After seeing how brutal my Brock fight was going to be, I wanted to plan easier gyms 2 and 3. Paris was my only shot at super effective coverage against Misty, so I took it, and yep, Humbug made me proud. After blowing a turn paralyzing Staryu, a single Bullet Seed knocks it out anyway, then Stun Spore should matter more against Starmie, so again I land that, taking a scary third of my hit points in damage from a Swift. But Starmie is also a Psychic type, and Humbug knows Leech Life. The damage is okay, but by healing any amount, I can take one more hit from Swift. So I leech her down to about half before she has me dead to one more Swift. It's time to switch to Bullet Seed. I might be able to snipe the win if I can pull off a 5-hitter. I only get 2, but thanks to a lucky Paralyzed turn, I do have another window for Bullet Seed, which scores 3 more hits that I need to KO Starmie. Humbug soloing the fight. Misty's prize TM, Water Pulse, is tragically not usable by anyone on the team because we would love better rock coverage than a Paris. Jigglypuff would have been the play if I had wanted a Water Pulse user for the mid-game. The team is all at level 21 now with the cap raised to 24 as I board the SS Ann. There's a bunch of trainers in here with a lot of them weak to ground type, but I want to play somewhat conservative with usage of Tower because I need her level low enough to sweep Surge's trainers and then Surge himself without breaking the cap. There's a Brick Break TM in one cabin, a disproportionately strong move for this point in the game that adds good coverage to a wide set of Pokemon. Tower would love this, but she's mostly a dig bot these days. We're giving this to Helena since her coverage is kind of narrow right now. I do use Tower somewhat though, and she hits level 22 to evolve into Sandslash. The rest of the team is 23 as I approach our 4th rival fight. Our lineup hasn't changed, and his technically hasn't, though his Abra evolving into Kadabra is effectively a new opponent. I again lead my Pidgeotto against his, handling it much more efficiently this time thanks to Secret Power. I keep Gustav in for his Rat, lending a Paralyze on the Secret Power to take that matchup for free. Then there's no reason to swap out against Kadabra, whose low defense means losing to a single Secret Power, and suddenly Gustav is facing down Balance's Ivysaur, which is a good matchup. So while I'm sure Gustav could complete the sweep, the rest of the team deserves some action, so I sand attack once to help smooth out the transition and send in Helena, who gets leech seated and put to sleep, so I am forced to swap again, Tower scoring the win. The team is in rough shape because of that, but there were no KOs as I acquire the Cut TM for entering Vermilion City's gym. Predictably, Tower sweeps in here. There's not much that I need to say, we can keep this brief. Tower did pick up Slash at level 24, but in here it was just dig on repeat through every trainer, and through Surge too, until his Raichu, who succeeded in double teaming enough to force me to swap. Helena had to clean up, raising our level cap to 29. We also get the Shockwave TM for beating Surge, Electric type being highly favored in the Generation 1 meta. This will get fed to our next catch, but that's still a ways off. I grab Flash through Diglett Tunnel, then head east out of Cerulean City toward Lavender Town via Rock Tunnel. There is an Aerial Ace TM lying on the floor on route what route is this? 9? Like Brick Break, a huge number of Pokemon can learn this one for coverage. I like it on Helena, who already resists fighting moves and who also resists grass, but usually can't counterattack those types very effectively. Humbug hit level 24 to evolve, which I cancel out of for just a single level, because Spore comes at level 25 instead of 27 if you defer evolution, and Spore is a good enough move that to me it's worth taking the minor setback on evolution. She got that extra level in short order thanks to a lot of hikers, learned Spore, and then evolved at 25. Rock Tunnel goes by effortlessly, the team having pretty good coverage by now. My one note is the kid near the exit will tutor you Rock Slide. Now, Tower could learn this, and it adds excellent coverage, but this is a move that I'm saving for a later catch. There's no need to put on the red light, because we won't have any rock sand slash. Having quit Rock Tunnel, a ton of power is now available for the team. There's duplicate Brick Break and Dig TMs available, Evolution Stones, some new species to catch, or gamble for, and several powerful new TMs to grab. It's a wealth of opportunity. My first move is to nab a Return from the girl in the Route 12 gatehouse, south of Lavender. That goes on Gustav for the same type bonus, and since we've had him all game, it's already doing pretty good damage. Then I ran west to Celadon City, dodging as many Route 8 trainers as I could to pick up the Fly HM west of Celadon, also for Gustav. Most times I would replace Wing Attack with Fly because they're both flying type attack moves, but I actually decided to ditch Sand Attack this time and keep Wing Attack. Keeping around Wing Attack in addition to Fly goes on to help several times throughout the run, a silver lining of Pidgey not having a deep learn set. Maybe you're facing a foe with rock attacks that can hurt you on your airborne turn, or want to knock them out before your light screen ends or something. Wing Attack still has a lot of value. I collected the coin case and the T for entering Saffron City, then shopped for TMs. Hyper Beam works well with Humbug's high attack stat and kind of combos with Spore, but I'm gonna want a lot of cash real soon, so I contented myself with only a backup Brick Break TM and a few fresh waters on the rooftop as the entirety of my shopping. Cause we've gotta buy a Pokemon! After picking up 300 free coins from the floor and generous gamblers, I spent my whole savings to reach 3,400 coins, just over halfway to buying a Porygon. Aside from Sandshrew, Porygon is a huge reason that I favored LeafGreen over Fire Red version for this challenge. Porygon is 3,500 coins pricier in Fire Red version, which is that much longer that I would be subjected to gambling at the slot machine. The machines are pretty fair though. Trying to line up 7s actually works, unlike a lot of games where the jackpots are coded to just miss most of the time so they control the payouts. After earning the coins, which took a long time, I saved my game, then took a few redemptions for Porygon until I got one with a special attack boosting nature. This is healthcare, because it was super expensive and it likes to heal sometimes. And it was really easy to reset till we got one with a modest nature, which has our special attack looking quite good, honestly. Sadly, he takes the place of Humbug on the team as I teach him Shockwave to get better water coverage than Bullet Seed ever was. He also comes with Psy Beam, very welcome against the levitating poison types that Tower can't touch, who are very common in the mid-game. Game progress now lies in the Rocket Game Dungeon or Erica's Gym, but first I took healthcare to clean up the trainers I had passed on Route 12, getting him to level 20 to learn Recover. Recover overperformed on my Corsola back during Crystal's E-tier run, so I'm expecting good things here. Then I visited Erica's gym, Psybeam still performing strong because everything's half poison, and decided to go ahead and follow through with Erica herself, healthcare only at level 25 because the game's been easy since the Cerulean City rival fight, and I'd welcome a little drama. Well, getting paralyzed into Giga Drains did force me to swap out for Gustav, but at least we've blown Erica's Hyper Potion and even landed a Confuse. Wing Attack finishes Victory Bell, Fly does not kill Tangela, giving it a chance to set up Ingrain. Here's one of those times we like Wing Attack. And Stun Spore from Vileplume actually forces another swap to Tower, whose dig is not lethal. So I've got to swap again so that Erica can't Giga Drain me for a major heal, winning the fight with Helena and skyrocketing the level cap all the way to 43 now, which is shared by both Sabrina and Koga. Okay, next up can only be the Rocket Game Corner dungeon. The opponents are quite low level by now, even with the roster change eating up a few levels, and nothing resembles a challenge until we hit Giovanni. Helena, seeking revenge for the pain of Brock, brick breaks through his 2 rock Pokemon, but with her defense now lowered twice, I can't leave her in against Kangaskhan. This is a perfect time to send out our physical tank, Tower, who does still lose to a critical hit. Mr. President, the tower has fallen. Healthcare has to take me home. But beating Giovanni got us the Silph Scope to unlock another catch for the team. Let's head to the Pokemon Tower, which starts with our 5th rival fight. Again, somewhat scary. Thing is, balance is just wrecked by a shock-waving Porygon. Healthcare easily defeats Pidgeot and Gyarados, shrugs off Intimidate from Growlithe and recovers to near full. Then 2 attacks get Kadabra and 2 more get Ivysaur for a full healthcare sweep of our rival. Porygon is clearly ranked at the bottom for a few reasons. It's expensive, i.e. a waste of time gambling to catch, and then it asks even more from you to kit it out with TMs. I mean, we've only used the free Shockwave, but the temptation is there to go for Thunderbolt or Ice Beam. It's also mostly just a worse Clefairy who has better stats and learns all the same TMs. Though I did point this out with Plusle during my Sapphire run. Just because a Pokemon is worse than another in a similar role does not mean that you need to rank that Pokemon lower. And both Recover and Agility being strong moves that only Porygon gets, I'm not even convinced that it's a worse Clefairy after all. Yes, throwing money and or time to get this thing stinks, but Porygon is properly strong, and I think E-tier is a little bit unfair. The channelers in here are no match for Psybeam. In fact, Porygon's coverage and sustain is so dominant that for the remainder of the run, it often feels like I'm being forced to use my other Pokemon sometimes. Like here when I decide to use Helena against the Ghost Marowak and skate by on a single hit point. I defeat the Rockets up top, rescue Mr. Fuji, and get the Poke Flute, which unlocks the remainder of the map for us, but before we head out, let's step back inside the Pokemon Tower to replace our fallen tower. Cubones spawn on every floor, but I think they're 1% more common at the very top floor, 10 versus 9%, so I begin hunting for one to raise up there. Because of its scarcity, I didn't press the nature too much and ended up with a hardy, neutral Cubone. This is second tower. He's essentially a twin of Tower 1, but with a fair bit more special defense and more TM options if you feel like getting weird. The thing with Cubone is, we really want a thick club for him to hold since that doubles Cubone's attack stat. And you can only find those on other wild Cubones at a paltry 5%. This is why I thought Butterfree would help me. In Emerald version, that 5 would have been 20% thanks to Compound Eyes. Instead, I spent way too long farming Cubone encounters, testing Thief for the Thick Club, and fleeing when it didn't happen. I calculated the odds here. My chances to have found a Thick Club are around 50% after 14 encounters, and I was around 75% to have found one after 27 tries. I didn't track how many it actually took, but my search took easily over an hour. I had a podcast on though, it's all good. What do y'all listen to? With a Thick Club for the attack boost and that spare Brick Break TM, second tower hits the ground running as a strong addition to the team. We're not done powering him up either. That Rock Slide tutor that I saved is for him. I've been inches away from running Cubone on a few runs by now, so I'm really happy to finally do it, because he's OP, able to solo all the trainers I skipped on Route 8 with his diverse coverage, and with hard-hitting headbutts for the couple who resist what he has. We just can't let him get wet, ever. So, Sabrina is a bit of a shadow hanging over the run, but she shares a level cap with Koga, so it's reasonable to go tackle him first. Just beware for level cap reasons that we'll still have to clear the Silph dungeon before fighting Sabrina. I got started cleaning up the 100-odd trainer fights that we have available before these next gym leaders, after clearing Snorlax. Second tower dinged level 28 to evolve into Marowak on Cycling Road, but otherwise I'm gonna yada dozens of fights on the way to Fuchsia City, against Koga's trainers, and then also a chunk of the Silph dungeon where I focused on pumping Healthcare's level to a comfortable place for soloing Koga, hopefully. There's tech in here too. This brave Silph employee tutors Thunder Wave, which I give to Healthcare over the Tri-Attack that he hadn't been using. Clearing maybe 60% of the dungeon was enough to boost healthcare to level 42, whereupon I flew back to Fuchsia City, handed him a poison cure berry in case somebody gets uppity with toxic, and challenged the poison type leader Koga, who is a breeze for healthcare to solo with Psybeam. I even outsped the Coughings. Now, the whole reason for asymmetrically boosting one Pokemon to defeat Koga early was because there's a catch I want to make, but it'll join the party at a low level, and I still wanted some trainers left for raising that. But we need Surf to catch it, hence fighting Koga. Let me just grab that HM and Strength and a quick Safari Zone run. While we're here, there is a Quick Claw to grab. Fire Red and Leaf Green are very stingy with held items, this being one of the better options. It allows a slower Pokemon to sometimes act first in battle. Then I pop Surf on my starter and ferry myself down to Cinnabar Island, dodging every trainer since that XP is not the point right now. And at Cinnabar, I can revive our Helix fossil into our 5th team member, Ammonite. Like Porygon, it's really easy to reset for a good nature here, not that Ammonite needs one. It is a very strong Pokemon. This is Gary, who joins at level 5, and he really is a strong Pokemon, isn't he? He's clearly only in the low tier because of inconvenience. This is not staged. I stopped in my tracks on the way out of the lab as I realized that I really shouldn't be using this thing. Omastar is amazing in Fire Red and Leaf Green with Surf and Ice Beam TMs, plus Rainy Day and the Swift Swim ability to help him act first. Too good, because I'm not scared of the effort to raise it from a low level, and then it would just dominate the run. So after coming all this way and holding the prize in my hands, I paused the game to check if there's another Pokemon that I could run instead. I struggled a while with this decision, but the answer is just Humbug. For the first time in a Mothy Pokemon video, here's a Pokemon back out of the PC to rejoin the team. I feel like this change reflects better the kind of run that I want this to be. But if I'm running Parasect, we'll need to make a few improvements. First, to the department store. She will need Hyper Beam. Our Giga Drain TM from Erica was going to go unused, but now she gets that too. More consistent than Bullet Seed, but not much more powerful. And she's a great holder of that Quick Claw too. Sneaking in fast spores can be dirty. Another consequence, I no longer have a good Ice Beamer planned for slaying dragons with Omastar gone, so that job is going to fall to Healthcare. I've got enough cash to go pick up an Ice Beam TM right now, replacing Psybeam. Then with a few levels to catch up for Humbug, I cleared out the long routes 13, 14, and 15 along the Eastern Sea, but the 5 PP on both of Humbug's attacks meant the team had to jump in for lots of fights here too. Gustav evolved at level 36 for a modest stat boost, but it's not as much as you'd hope for. Humbug still trailed the party by 4 levels after all that, so I went and cleared the sea routes down to Cinnabar from both sides, where her Giga Drain was sometimes enough to one-shot water foes, then picked up Slash at level 35 to help her be less choked on PP, and before I knew it, she was up to party level. Importantly, Helena hit level 40 on the stretch to learn Agility, a move that we need for the run, so it's finally time that we retire Focus Energy. Now at long last, we can resume Sylph Company, cleaning up another dozen or so trainers until it's time for Rival Fight 6 on floor 7. The rival fights are getting easier by now, but this time marks his first time with an Alakazam who luckily casts Future Sight instead of any direct damage, allowing Helena to kill it safely. After healing up, it's right in to fight Giovanni on floor 11. I lead with Second Tower, very strong against his entire team, except a paralysis off of Nidoqueen's Body Slam finally makes me swap into Gustav. Our prizes are a Master Ball and permission to fight Sabrina with the team still just under level cap. Let's get after it. Sabrina's gym is Helena's time to shine. Twin Needle one-shots most psychic foes, and her speed plus nature lets her act first in most matchups. Except not against the Abra line when they're at competitive levels. But that is exactly why I wanted her to know Agility. I initiate the Sabrina fight with Agility against her Kadabra, praying that I will live through a Psybeam. But he just buffs himself with Calm Mind. 1 needle and he's gone. Mr. Mime is outsped and needled down too before he can set up Barrier or do some other nonsense. Now the reason Helena has Aerial Ace was not just for fighting coverage. It's been planned so that she can handle Sabrina's Venomoth, who resists Twin Needle and might get in the way of my plans to sweep. Except to my surprise, Sabrina just put in Alakazam third. It's like a cow on the train tracks here. Agility pays off with Helena just rolling on through, easily trashing one of the scariest opponents in the run. And then I Aerial Ace Venomoth. You may not expect a poison type to have such success against a psychic gym, but my Speedy Bee really made me proud here. I'll never support Weedle hate. The Fighting Dojo is next, low level by now, but there wasn't really room to fight them under the level cap until now. Then it's flight straight to Cinnabar to tackle the Pokemon Mansion in order to unlock Blaine's Gym. The burglars in here fork over $3,000 apiece, which is great progress towards affording another Game Corner TM, but there's not much else to note about the dungeon. So, it's straight into Blaine's Gym, my only real fire counter being Second Tower because he's unmeltable by jet fuel, and the team is level 44-ish as I head to challenge Blaine. Growlithe Intimidate is not nearly enough to stop Bone Meringue from one-shotting. I only need one of its 2 hits. Thick Club Marowak goes hard. Ponyta's also down in a single bone, having missed his Fire Blast, but Rapidash does not miss his, and that does more than half my health, though I do still win on a single bone. I'm confident we could still cut through Arcanine's second Intimidate with how things have been going, but we simply won't live another Fire Blast. I do wish I'd healed the team before this fight. Oops. I'm forced to send in Gustav, who only gets in 1 return before being bitten down. Things don't look good, so I put in Humbug on a prayer. Either that Arcanine will miss a Fire Blast, or for a lucky Quick Claw into Spore, and I do get that. Unfortunately, Blaine packs a full heal, but then Arcanine misses Fire Blast next turn for the re-Spore. So after 2 of those, it's safe to start slashing, but that's taking so many turns, and Blaine still has a potion, so I tried to snipe it from 60% with a Hyper Beam, and tragically fell short, losing Humbug to a heal and a Fire Blast. However, that gave me the room to land Thunder Wave with a fresh healthcare, and by my count, his Fire Blast is at 0 PP by now, so I just start recovering. I recover and recover while he hits himself with Takedown Recoil until he finally has a paralyzed turn and I can get in a Shockwave. Honestly, Recover has no business having this much PP. That fight was bloody because I went in cocky. Healing the team beforehand or saving Second Tower for Arcanine would have had a better outcome for certain. But that's behind us now, the level cap is up to 50, and we just got access to our final catch. Now, it's important to retrieve our starter with Surf and Strength from the PC before saying what's up to Bill and accepting a ride to the Sevi Islands, because we're headed there with an ulterior motive. Blah blah Celio's quest. Our real goal is to surf north on one island, through the Fiery Path, and up to Mount Ember, where the exterior grass contains Magmars, at like a super low encounter rate. It took me so long to find one of these, his nature better be fine. This is Real Guy with a neutral nature. Phew. Now, Fire type does almost nothing helpful for the rest of the game, but Magmar is actually one of the best ones who can learn your Psychic TM thanks to solid special attack and otherwise good stats. It lets him be useful in ways that Fire Punch never could, like against this fighting trainer. He's already level 38, and his dual coverage lets him quickly catch the party, fighting the trainers that I skipped to catch him, and Real Guy picks up Natty Flamethrower at level 41. Then back to the Celio quest, Psychic tears through all the bikers, and Lostel's rescued in short order to enable my return to the mainland for the endgame. I do pull Butterfree back out to steal a black belt from a Machoke in the Viridian Gym, because we could still use held items for a lot of the team. Slightly powering up Brick Break on Helena is better than nothing. And Healthcare just demolishes the rest of the gym, one-shotting every foe he meets and recovering occasionally. His dominance is wild. Against Giovanni, I do lead with Humbug, Giga Draining his Rhyhorn and his other Rhyhorn that he sent in second for some reason. Once Nidoqueen comes out, it's a Spore swap back to Healthcare to one-shot her and the king, and then the final Doug trio gives a rare moment where I actually want to send in Gustav. Giovanni gives up the Earthquake TM when we win, which is basically just an accuracy boost to Bone Meringue for Second Tower at the same power level. And while we're making final power-ups pre-Elite Four, I visited the Game Corner one more time for a Charcoal for Real Guy to hold, and a Thunderbolt TM to finally upgrade Healthcare's Shockwave. And I can mostly handwave the Route 22 rival fight because nothing much interesting happens except Helena once again being able to pull off agility to handle Alakazam. As we head through Victory Road, here's a report card on the team's performance. It is a tradition to do that here on the channel. Gustav has been merely okay for the duration of the run. There's almost no ground attacks to blank in Fire Red and Leaf Green with him, especially that aren't coming from a Rock-type Pokemon that a Pidgeot cannot handle offensively. His big role was helping for early game rival Bulbasaur. Return kept him usable, but I never want to send in Gustav as a first pick. We'll give him a C. Helena, like Gustav, suffers from lagging stats, but much more useful typing and a diverse moveset kept her relevant throughout the game. The damage is sad when she's aerial acing fighting types, but the agility into Twin Needle trick continues helping, and her brick breaks are usually good enough to two-shot foes who are weak to it. Her special defense is actually good. She can take some hits there. I just have to be careful around physical attacks. B. What else? It's a B. Barrio. Humbug actually did help a lot with early bullet seeds. We mustn't forget that. But she's been pretty tough to make good since then. Spore Cheese lets her take wins in neutral matches, but it often takes so many turns that you're at risk of needing to reapply, and her type coverage is almost worthless. Considering her short moment of strength against Misty and some early hikers, I'll generously allow her a C+. Healthcare has been amazing ever since I bought him. I just have to be careful that I don't rank him too highly out of irony, but he's actually that good. Coming with Psybeam, upgradable into Psychic, or Ice Beam, or Thunderbolt, gives so much coverage, and Recover has so many unexpected battle applications, from waiting out a light screen to PP tanking your opponent's good moves. He really didn't have any drawbacks except the initial cost. I can't give healthcare anything less than an A+. Second Tower started with great coverage and legendary attack stat, though I will factor in the thick club grind against his score, since I don't consider that optional. Ground type got a huge nerf as of Gen 3 and abilities. You don't really need a dedicated Ekans killer, and there's not many electric ops after Surge and Route 11, which both come before you can even catch a Cubone. He's been very good at rock sliding flying types and against Blaine, but that's usually an easy gym anyway. It's tough to sweep with him because of low speed and shaky special defense, but he is a good swap in many cases thanks to solid defense and diverse attacks. Points off for Thick Club definitely, and for having very few good matchups in the coming Elite Four, but Second Tower is quite strong, B-. Lastly, Real Guy is fine. Well-rounded stats and Psychic gave him some utility that Flamethrower lacks in the endgame, but Fire-type on defense has quite a few vulnerabilities. And I'm not salty about having to visit the Sevi Islands to get him, but I didn't care for the low encounter rate once I got there. I can do another B- for Real Guy. Whoop diddy poop scoop, let's hit the Elite Four. Level caps get a little bit complicated here. To give myself a challenge, because the game's been rather easy through this point, I'm going to set my level cap at 2 levels less than each Elite's ace Pokemon as we go. With that established, let's head into Lorelei, who gets a couple of Pokemon downed in a row by Healthcare Thunderbolts right away, and I was proud of predicting the Protect out of Cloister to nab a free Recover turn. I was careful to keep Humbug maxed out by Giga Draining Slowbro in order to live through Jinx's coming Ice Punch and then Spore her so that I could swap to Helena and finish on Twin Needles. Then Lapras's Bulk was my only tiny problem here, but I trusted Gustav to live through an Ice Beam and take me home with a return, which he did do. Elite number 2 is Bruno. Onyx's Earthquake barely scratches Second Tower, who serves one back to win. Twice. He wasted both Onixes on this. Somehow, Second Tower outsped Hitmonchan, and then just tanked Hitmonlee for 2 more one-shots. But I finally got to swap him out against Machamp, Real Guy getting there in 2 Psychics, while Machamp just wasted time scary-facing and then missed a cross-chop. Perhaps the most important use of Real Guy all run is to use that Psychic TM against Agatha. Psychic on Real Guy claims a few wins here. My other important tech for Agatha was sending in Gustav holding a Chesto Berry, which did save me against a Haunter's Hypnosis. The only real challenge was her final Gengar. After whittling it down once, I had to follow up her heal with a Spore so that I could pass serve back to Real Guy to Psychic the win. And believe it or not, Lance might have been the easiest of all the elites thanks to Healthcare rocking both electric and ice attacks. Aerodactyl was the only question mark. What I did for this was Thunderwave it, and then I made sure to heal up before finishing it off so that I'd be fresh for the dragons. Dragon Knight, who came first, did take 2 Ice Beams alas, but only wing attacked me after safeguarding, and both Dragonairs barely hurt me, outspeeding me but only needing 1 Ice Beam apiece. Healthcare didn't even need his Cherry Berry that I brought in to guard against opponent Thunderwaves. If you didn't believe Porygon's A+ grade before, his effortless solo of Lance should help you see. Porygon, real good. The final boss against Balance is quite a lot tougher. I decided to play this battle at -4 party level to his ace for some extra excitement before we're through. And those levels were clearly important breakpoints, as Second Tower takes 5 Rock Slides to beat Pidgeot, popping a full restore at least, but leaving Tower out of commission afterward. Definitely just 1 or 2 levels would have had me breaking 50% health on 1 attack, and probably getting this thing done in 2 attacks with no heal instead of 5 with the heal. Venusaur does take good damage on one fly, but after he heals back to full off a synthesis when I try to fly again, I realize that the order here is going to need to be one fly followed by a wing attack to get the win through his healing, which does work. For Rhydon, I swap in Healthcare, and he spends 2 turns scary facing as I get him low and pop a second full restore. But I wasn't prepared for Alakazam to come next. I have to put in Humbug, who tanks a Psychic, then sets up Spore while he Future Sights. That's good news, at least. I'm able to put in Helena. She doesn't bother with agility here because time's against me with sleep, so I just get Needling, which for the first time doesn't kill in one move. Luckily that Future Sight does miss, as Balance uses a 3rd full restore. I'm definitely in danger now, but nobody else is going to be a productive swap, so I have to allow Helena to lose to a Psychic. Gustav is in next to finish Alakazam after taking a free opportunity to use agility, which also gets him an attack against Gyarados. Or 2 because he missed his Hydro Pump. Or 3 because he actually only used Dragon Rage next turn. And we got a crit there, so nice. That should have been harder. This final Arcanine is a huge problem though. My only Pokemon who can live a few attacks is a real guy, but Arcanine's not limited to bad fire attacks against me here. Extreme speed hurts. The best thing I can do is put up a Confuse Ray and then swap to Second Tower, hoping for a turn spent attacking itself. Failing this one turn of confusion would almost certainly mean a repeat of the fight. But Second Tower breaks Cannon and lives, earthquaking down Arcanine to win the run, thanks to confusion. And that's the run finished. I'm not doing Sevi Islands on this run. This was the easiest of my E-tier challenge runs so far, outside of the very first badge being brutal. That Brock fight was no joke. But the creativity needed to solve puzzles like that is what makes these videos so fun to plan. Let's talk about the tier list though. Did my experience line up with these Pokemon's rankings? I do think that everyone I played with has earned their low tier spot for different reasons. Pidgeot, Beedrill, and Parasect have bad stats. Marowak forces an item grind and then is a little soft to special attacks. Porygon takes hours of gambling and all of your cash, and then Magmar is available at a late hour when he does very little for your team comp, even though his stats and moves read good on paper. Magmar feels similar, but definitely different enough from Ammonite, who also comes late, but less late and can still do a lot for your team thanks to rain-boosted Surfs, Ice Beam, and he's got some good type defenses. Level 5 for the fossils is a drag, but even so, I think that I would personally rank Ammonite and Aerodactyl a tier higher. Kabutops can probably stay where he is. They certainly justify your investment in a way that Magmar doesn't. Then I'm sure you're sick of hearing me talk about Porygon, but boy does he justify the investment. I'm surprised he's ranked not even D tier, but at the very bottom alongside Ditto. To their credit, Smogon acknowledges his power if you give him Thunderbolt and Ice Beam, and the huge cast investment that it takes to get that going. But what they don't mention is Recover being absolutely busted, Agility or Thunder Wave helping fix his low speed, and which I found to further combo with Recover, but more importantly, how he's still good without those expensive TMs. That's what I would say that they missed. Psybeam out the gate at a portion of the game that's full of poison-type rockets, cycling road thugs, and Koga's whole gym is very helpful, and even the free Shockwave TM from Lieutenant Surge goes a long way. Yes, gambling for Porygon, or VS Seeker cash farming, is a drag. But if I have one bone to pick with this tier list, it's that Porygon's performance is head and shoulders above the rest of the E tier, and even, I would say, all of the D tier. Hi. Thanks for watching my video. These E-tier challenge runs bring me a great deal of joy, and I'm glad that y'all like them too. Again, sorry for the delay on posts, but the schedule should be faster now that it's fall. Of course, half my posts are now going to take place over on my horror channel, which if you have any interest in those kind of games with a slower, more creative video style, I would love your support over there. I've got some very exciting videos planned for the Halloween season. Thanks very much to my kind patrons for your support. Especially this month, because as some of you may have heard, recent changes to YouTube's policies and algorithm and AI and whatnot have made things weird on the creator side, with views fluctuating wildly for some channels. Your support helps me not have a heart attack every time this happens, so thank you. Look for Generation 5 videos, which are now in the pipeline, so subscribe if you want to catch those when they come out. But that's all I got. Peace out, Girl Scout.